I could live 1,000 years and not a single day would be worthwhile without you.
Oh, Lorenzo!
Good work, everyone. That's a wrap.
Excuse me? What are you reading?
Oh, it's a Harlequin romance story.
Why?
Why?
Yes, why?
Well, why not? Harlequin Romance was the first romance writers published in Canada. It's important and a historical company in Canadian history. Don't scoff, it's true.
Hey, something like that has no place in Canadian history. It's sexist, it's repetitive, and it's smut.
Harlequin romance novels have a large importance in Canadian history. Harlequin is a Canadian company that has gone global to the point that now half of the books are sold outside of North America. They are now published in 19 different countries. Harlequin romance novels remain one of the most consistently bought fiction novels and remain dominant on the bestseller list. Just in 2016 alone, Harlequin sold 131 million books worldwide, which is over 4 books per second. It's a shame that they have been so long dismissed by the critical community.
I don't think romance novels should have any part in Canada whatsoever.
Well, I think you could do with a little bit of a history lesson. Harlequin Publishing was founded in 1949 in Winnipeg by Canadian publishing executive Richard Bonnycastle. Back then, it was started as a reprinting company and printed mostly American and British paperbacks and sold them for very cheap. It was not until 1957 that Harlequin actually started printing romance novels. By then, they had started purchasing rights from Mills and Boon, who were the first romance fiction producers, publishing their first romance novel in 1908.
Wait! But romance novels have been around forever. Mills and Boon couldn't have possibly been the first romance writers.
Actually, a common misconception. Common. The romance novel is actually a very modern concept. Books that fall into the genre of romance novels and the idea of romance novels emerged from Mills and Boon in England.
Okay, so England? But where does Canada come into this?
Well, after the Canadian company Harlequin started purchasing romance novels, Mary Bonnycastle, who was the wife of the founder, Richard, started to notice that the growing popularity of these nice little books with happy endings, and by 1964, Harlequin was publishing romance novels exclusively. Harlequin then created this technique to place their books in supermarkets, department stores, and drugstores, places where women shop most, which in turn created higher sales of these romance books.
So I get that Harlequin began in Canada, but what does it have to do with Canada? Like, why is this something that anyone should know?
Well, romance novels sales still sell more than any other fiction. Their sales total more than $1 billion a year. And it all started because of the technique of sales that started in Canada. How is that not something we should have to learn about?
Huh? So you're saying that we should teach our students the importance of romance novels?
Well, I think we need to stop disregarding them as useless smut, as you said before. Harlequin is a very successful publishing company, and it all started in Canada. They even work with other corporations, including Torstar Corporations, a Canadian communications company, which the firms are a part of, and which has given Canadians jobs. Over 1,200 authors from around the world are published by Harlequin, and they purchase more than 2 original works of fiction every day, which not only makes them a highly productive publisher, but also presents great option for aspiring authors to have their works published as well.
It doesn't matter if they purchase that many novels, because romance novels are basically the same over and over. As Lee Michael explains on her study of romance novels, a romance novel is just a story of a man and a woman who, while they're solving a problem that threatens to keep them apart, discover the love they feel for each other is the sort that comes along only once in a lifetime. All they're doing is changing the name and climax.
Well, you are partially right. That is the basic formula for a romance novel. But you could say the same type for any type of fiction genre. A mystery novel, one that creates just a puzzle and complicates it more and more until the puzzle is finally solved at the end of the book. But like romance novels, it is not all that they are.
If I had the choice between $1 billion and your love, I'd choose love.
Oh my god! Goodbye, Lorenzo! Oh, bye, Lorenzo. Oh. Well, as you can see, and you can probably tell, there is a type of audience that this sort of romance novel would cater to. You know, the kind of one where a prince rolls in on a white stallion. So, there are romances for those who enjoy historical fiction fantasy, science fiction, mystery, anything your heart desires.
Wow!
Oh my God. There is something for everyone without disrupting what a romance is supposed to be about. Love.
So it has success in the communities it runs in. But what about the overall success in the publishing community?
Well, the romance publishers Harlequin and Silhouette Intimate Moments, who are owned by Harlequin, have been able to figure out how to deal with so many niches. All book covers have a similar design, and all books in a category will have the same number of pages.
Wouldn't that get boring if all the books had the same amount of pages?
Well, you're not accounting for the other aspects of the books, such as the number of words, type size, type font, spacing, and margins. These little changes can really change how a book is read.
Sure, Harlequin became publishers in Canada, but it's not like they were the first ones. McClelland and Stewart started in 1909 to name one. What have they done that is different than anyone else?
To answer that, we can look at the fact that they became so big that in the 1980s, Harlequin managed to purchase their main rival, Silhouette Romance. Or we can look at what they're doing today. Romance authors are some of the first to adopt ebooks. They start as early as 1996 when Harlequin launched www.romance.net, which provided internet coverage of romance novels and the authors that wrote them. After a while, the success of the site allowed them to include online books and many community features, although this has actually allowed romance to take on the biggest change in publishing in the past 200 years, a success in self-publishing.
How is that possible?
Self-publishing has been seen as a no-go for so long with many authors, because it's difficult to actually become successful this way.
Not for romance writers. Due to their ability to connect with their online readers, they have managed to find a way to make this work for them. Many romance writers will use both self-publishing and Harlequin for different reasons. Harlequin allows for books to be purchased via paperback, which at 61% likability is the preferred format, while self-publishing allows for them to quickly get digital content to their readers. Romance buyers tend to spend more time engaging on social media, so they have the time to make connections with the authors, which then makes them more inclined than the average fiction book reader to write book reviews, which will then help boost an author's popularity online. By giving some cheap, even free content online, a good romance writer can get lots of good publicity, and there is a market for it. Combining all purchases made online or through mobile apps, that's almost half of all romance book purchases. Romance novels are an enterprise. Romance novels have increased in sales exponentially from 3 million in 1970 to a current total of more than 160 million worldwide, according to Harlequin's current website. The readership is huge and global. According to their website, they have published 120 titles each month under many different publishing companies that they have bought or established over the years. In the USA alone, more than 70 people read at least one romance novel a year. According to BookNet Canada, romance novels accounted for over 15% of all print fiction sales in Canada, and approximately 1 in every 6 mass market paperbacks sold in North America is a Harlequin or silhouette novel.
I still don't understand. Who's reading all these romance novels? Lonely old women?
Well, according to BookNet Canada, the average romance book buyer is female and usually middle-aged, though she is also married and university educated. But 19% of romance readers are male, like you. And even though many aren't willing to talk about it, there are some that will admit to it.
One question still remains. Can you be feminist and like romance novels? Isn't it depicting that the age-old tales of waiting for their Prince Charming to come and take them away? Then women sitting around and waiting for their hero to let the real opportunities pass them by?
Romance novels have been cutting edge since the beginning. Mills and Boone explained that long before divorce was common, romance novels introduced them. They introduced the importance of economic independence for women early on. Romance novels have never meant to enslave women. They are about celebrating women and the freedom and joy they can have. This is also a reason that romances are usually read by women. They are meant for them. The modern romance novel tells a story of a young woman who is useful, valuable, and successful, all on her own. Tells a story of a woman who is respected by men and who doesn't put up with men who don't treat her well. And it's in romance novels. The man who treats her right is worth waiting for. Romance novels, as said by Jane Ann Krentz, shows the women always win. With courage, intelligence, and gentleness, she brings the most dangerous creature on earth, the human male, to his knees.
Oops! Oh no!
Thank you, Lorenzo.
You're welcome.